Good Timezone Con.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, or whatever time zone you're in.
Or wherever you are. I hope you're enjoying your time, whatever time it is. I am Briana White, and with me here
is Dayeanne Hutton. Hello.
Excellent. We're excited. First question, how are y'all doing today?
Great. I love the enthusiasm.
Great. Wow, look at that.
So wonderful.
So fun. And, just to get a show of hands here, how many of you here are looking maybe to start streaming soon? Great.
Looks like we've got a few.
Good. All right. I love knowing the audience that I'm speaking to. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Digital conventions really are something else, aren't they?
They're truly the future. Here we are in the future, but it's the present. Who would have thunk it?
Here we are. Here we are. All right. Well, that was a good start. Way to go, Day. I'm proud of us. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about some of this stuff because it's something that's been very close to our hearts for a while now.
Quite a long time.
It's kind of like the reason we became friends, even.
True.
So
that's true. It is.
I feel like we are good people to talk about how to create positive Twitch communities with uplifting each other. Compassion, not competition.
Exactly. How to be collaborative. So that's what you're here to learn all about today. That's what we're here today to discuss with you all. So let's explain a little bit of who we are and what we do. Day, would you like to begin?
Sure, I will go first. Hello, everybody. My name is Dayeanne Hutton, aka Dabraham Lincoln on Twitch. I am a full-time streamer and an actress, podcaster, and dabble in cosplay. I'm a professional nerd. I'm the voices of Kate, Marsh, Alyssa, and Juliet in The First Life is Strange, which is really important because that community is very dear to my heart and my own Twitch community. Briana, why don't you tell us about you?
Sure. So, hi, I'm Briana White. I am an actress and content creator full-time as well. I started on YouTube and then I started Twitch streaming around 2017 or so. I am also very recently a voice actress. You may have heard me as Aerith in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Other than that, I can also be known as the Strange Rebel in various places on the internet like YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc., right? And I focus on playing story-based games, anything with a good narrative, anything with good characters that we can deep dive into and get immersed. Right now we're playing The Last of Us Part 2. My goodness, what a game.
Talk about deep characters and storyline in which to immerse oneself.
Correct, yes. So we're really in it right now. And I would say, to segue into the next thing we wanted to bring up, now, I came up with being known as the Strange Rebel or Strange Rebel Gaming far before I had really gotten to know my community and what I wanted us to be about and for. And we've kind of developed this over time, this idea of what it is to be a strange rebel. And it means to be strangely kind and strangely compassionate, strangely generous, strangely understanding, just breaking the status quo. That's where the rebel comes in, breaking the status quo in all of the right ways to make the world a better place. So that's kind of the pillar of what our community, my community, stands on. And that's how I've been able to drive every single piece of content that I've made from the second that was developed a couple of years ago.
Awesome. That's amazing. My community is similar in kind of like mission and compassion. You've actually all caught me at a very strange time where I'm sitting in like a purgatory space of rebranding my Twitch community's name. I know what we're all about. We were previously Dabledor's Army, but I am moving away from that. But I can tell you, we are positively weird and weirdly positive through and through to the core. Those things are like the pillar of what we do. Like, I want everyone to feel free to be themselves and to feel comfortable being themselves and supportive being themselves. And like being a strange rebel, we are weirdly positive. So we are breaking the status quo as well with how kind and open and welcoming our community is.
So both of us have extremely positive communities, extremely, would you say, wholesome, extremely focused on providing a good experience for everybody that arrives and in making the world a better place, right? That's what everybody hopes that they can do with being an influencer. If we're going to influence anybody in any direction, we just want to like make it in the direction of making the world a better place. Can we both agree on that pretty much?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, you're a little more wholesome than I am, but you know, that's where the I get a little real weird sometimes. I'm a I say I'm PG-13 professional nerd. So, yeah.
Yeah, I try to be as family friendly as possible for, branding reasons, but we don't have to get into all that. We don't have time to get into all of that today.
That's a whole other
So,
topic.
Dayeanne, just for a little extra qualification, exactly how long have you been creating content?
I've been streaming on Twitch a little over 3 years now. Started in 2017 as well. But previously I kind of dabbled in YouTube, but not I never got serious. Uh Mostly just did acting stuff before that with my own socials. But yeah, the serious Twitch content creating came in 2017.
Awesome. So, the next thing we want to be talking about with everybody today is why this panel matters, why we're talking with you all today, why we feel like this topic is so important. And Day and our history is that our very first meeting was a collab because I was not yet a voice actress. Okay, that was not even a twinkle in my eye, but Dayeanne was. And I wanted to find a way to make content creation a little bit more rewarding when I had been in the grind for a few years. It was feeling really stale. And I just felt like, man, I need people. Like, I like people. I like working with people, and I need more people in my content. And I think I'm going to enjoy it more. So I brought a few different amazing collaborators on with me, and Dan was one of them. And so, thusly, our friendship was born.
True.
Yes.
True.
And what we did a stream, right?
Yes, I came over to your studio and we just I think you kind of interviewed me a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and then we just played some games together. There was like a silly emoji game and then we did mind meld, which is technically an acting exercise, but hilarious. So,
It was fun. We
yeah.
eventually settled on beach. I
I don't
remember
even
that. Yeah, I remember that from the clip.
Your
I
memory,
recently looked it up. Yeah.
that's fair. I was like, your memory is far superior.
No, I didn't remember it. I had watched it in a clip. So collabs are a really, really important thing for any content creator. And I believe that one of the most important things to remember is that it should feel collaborative. It should feel compassionate. It should be supportive instead of competitive. I know a lot of content creators feel competitive. I know a lot of the times as a content creator, we can get really caught up in numbers. We can get caught up in, when you get to the point of doing sponsorship deals, why did they get offered something and I didn't? Or even just, wow, they're growing really fast on this platform, but I'm not doing great on that platform, even though I'm doing great on another platform. Somehow we all get mixed up into feeling competitive and pitting other people against ourselves when we absolutely should not be doing that, and we don't need to be doing that. Some of the other benefits of collabs are that it can grow your community. And so I would say that one of the reasons that I brought Dayeanne on was so that my community could learn about her, because I felt like they would really enjoy her content and her entire essence and being. And I was right. They did enjoy her essence.
My essence. Yeah, and I have to say that collabing with people has actually brought really good friends into my life. Like, Brianna included, as with many others. I can name several that I'm just like good friends with these people now, and it all was born from like, hey, like, you're playing Life is Strange. I'm in that game. Like, I'd love to hang out while you play it, or something like that. Like, it's it's very nice. And like Brianna was saying, with all of those competitive thoughts that can go through your head, I'm gonna say and hopefully I'm not talking for you in a negative way. I definitely have those thoughts still. Like, I'm not exempt from those thoughts. But what we're going to talk to you about how you can create a kind of like creator pod that can help you through those moments, because I go through those things and then I go to people like Brianna and Amber, who is our other member who could not be here with us today, but we send
But
her
she
love.
says hello.
She does. And so I go to them with these thoughts and they can be like, "Stop it. That's bad. That's not helpful. What can you put this energy into as well?" And that helps you grow as well. So, we'll get to that little nugget as well.
One more reason why having a support system is just wildly important in this industry. If you want to stream, especially if you want to do it professionally, you have to have that little network of support, and collabs are a really great way to start building that.
Absolutely.
The other thing that makes collabs really awesome is, listen, I had been creating content since 2016 before I brought Dayeanne on. Sorry, I've been creating content since 2015, since I brought Day on in 2017, I believe, 2018 maybe.
I think it had just become 2018
That makes sense.
or something
So,
like that.
it had been years. And listen, my community loves me, but maybe they're just tired of seeing my face. Maybe they need a little special sauce. They need a little of Day's special essence sprinkled through this Brianna soup, okay? Listen, follow the metaphor. Follow the metaphor. It all makes sense. Anyways,
I'm an
so
ingredient.
yes, and all in the cooking pot that is Strange Rebel Gaming's content, you want to have little different ingredients, and collabs are a good way to make your audience feel like your content is a little bit different, a little bit special, and something to be celebrated when, you put out, especially as a content creator, live streaming, you put out 6 hours of content a day, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week. Please don't ever do that. Oh my God. But if you do you stream 5 times a week, 6 hours?
I used to. I cut down to 4.
It's too much. Sorry, I'm very against that much work. It's way too hard. I need
Work
sleep.
smarter,
Okay,
not harder.
I need sleep. So if you're putting out just a ton of content, you need some of your content to spark a little special note, and collabs are a really, really good way to do that.
Yeah, it just shakes things up, kind of shakes up the norm. I mean, everyone loves a crossover episode on TV. Like, if there's two,
Exactly.
like,
It feels special. You're like, hey, I know them from somewhere else on the TV.
yeah. And as a creator, it's so fun to, do something you usually do alone, talking to yourself in a room, like we're doing right now, to a camera. Like, if there's well, RIP in-person collabs, but when you could have a person sitting next to you, it's just a whole new energy that's just kind of revitalizes you as a creator.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the reasons why it is just so important that we talk about this topic. If you are an up and coming streamer, collabs are an amazing way to grow your community. They're an amazing way for you to feel good about your content again, and they're an amazing way for you to show your community and sort of train them by doing these things over and over again, that we welcome positivity, that we welcome collaboration and compassion and sharing audiences in a good way. And that immediately, by bringing these people on and into your space and into your audience's space, it immediately sets the tone to say, we don't do competition here. There's enough numbers for everyone. There's enough opportunity for everyone. Immediately, when you come from a place of sharing and giving to another content creator, you immediately spark that spreads like wildfire throughout the community. And so we think that is super, super important, and why we wanted to talk with you a little bit about that today.
Yeah, and someone once told me, and this was in terms regards to acting, but it applies here too. It's like, it's not a pie. Like, no one's gonna run out of viewers and numbers. Like, there's enough for everyone. We're not fighting over like a slice. There's enough for everyone.
Yes, exactly.
I always wished, or wanted there to be a word for, like, how you have the Strange Rebels, and then like Brian and Amelia have the Connor army, and I have my community, and it's like, when you guys raid in or come in, you feel like family, and it's like, we are the same. Some people are shared communities. I'm like, you're like my cousin community, or you're like my adjacent community.
Yes.
Like, I want like a cool little name for that, because I have all these streamer friends with equally positive, wonderful communities who I just adore when they come into my stream, and I'm like, "Oh, you're from the Connor army? You're gonna fit right in. Oh, you're a strange rebel? You're gonna fit right in here." And so I
That's
need a
perfect.
word to be created for that.
You're gonna think about it. Put it in that little shabu pot of a brain. Cook it around a little bit more. Maybe they'll be cousins. Maybe I don't know. Listen, if you're watching right now,
Get those
or to whom is
brains
watching right now, I don't know.
to whomever's eyes are upon this video.
Correct. Whoever I was talking to at the very beginning when I asked you who was thinking of starting streaming, please let Dayeanne know what you think she should call it. Cousins feels right, but you can't just say cousins. Welcome into the stream.
Hey, cousins. I mean, you could. I've been thinking
It's gotta
about.
make sense though.
Yeah. Well, I've been thinking about being kind of like an auntie figure, because I'm definitely not mom or dad energy, but I'm like,
Mm,
come to kooky Aunt Day's house. Like,
for
I'll
sure.
feed you ice cream at 9 p.m. and like let you watch a PG-13 movie. We're weird over here.
Wow, you are that energy for sure. You're like the cool young aunt.
Just like hip.
That's for sure your vibe. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, so tangent aside, let's talk a little bit about how we came into this. We stumbled into this work cohort kind of pod group sort of situation. It all started with Amber for me.
Well,
Way back
I
then.
stumbled into it. You kind of already had it going on. You
Well,
had
because Amber pulled me into it.
Okay.
Right.
So
It
you
was
and
Amber's
Amber.
idea. It was her brainchild.
Okay.
Yes.
So birthed from the brain of Amber.
Correct.
We have this small female-oriented work group.
Yes.
That then kind of fell apart, but you still wanted it to happen. And when we met for our collab meeting, you invited me to be a part of it. And I was like, heck yeah, I love accountability buddies. Bring it on. And we met like the first month of the year, 2018.
I think it had to be 2018.
Something like that. And we talked about, because all three of us are actors and streamers, and we talked about.
We had a lot in common. It started there.
Yeah. And so we talked about our wins, what we wanted to work on, and then gave each other advice on like ways to achieve what we wanted to work on. And we've done it almost every month since.
Yeah, it's kind of been a match made in heaven. I mean, it wasn't at first, Amber originally had this brainchild, and again, I hope I'm not speaking for her inappropriately, but she had this brainchild where she was like, it's just it can be a very lonely industry to just create content by yourself, and when you're first starting out, it's really only for yourself because you don't have the viewers yet, you don't have the cross promotion, and so finding a group of like-minded individuals is a really, really good way to not feel so lonely. And so she immediately was like, okay, who do I know that's doing the same thing that I'm doing? I know this person, this person, this person, this person. So, we all got together and talked, and, some people didn't really mesh with the idea. Some people didn't really feel like this type of environment was for them, and that was totally fine. They no longer met up with us. And so then it was just Amber and I. And then, what I had liked about it from the very beginning is it was originally called the Meeting of the Minds. And I love that feeling of everybody's getting together to sort of brainstorm. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? How can we just do this better? How can we grow? It wasn't at all even focused on collabs because we all had different styles of things that we were doing. So I was doing gameplays, but another girl was doing makeup. Another girl was really more of a Snapchat travel person. And so we weren't actually collabing with each other. But we liked that we could share resources about things like entrepreneurship and being technically, we are small business owners, how to focus on branding and marketing and social media tips. And, we would agree to like each other's posts and things so that we could trick the algorithm into pushing us a little bit higher.
Pesky algorithms.
Those pesky algorithm overlords. They're so awful. But that's kind of how this started. is a meeting of the minds. And then we brought Day in, and she was a perfect match for our personalities. And it took a little bit of trial and error to get there. It also requires accountability and reliability, but we just eventually stumbled across the right mix of personalities. We all started doing similar things. So Day does video games and voice acting, and then I was doing video games, and turns out I started voice acting, and Amber plays video games. So all of that kind of just seemed to work out quite perfectly with this little group of 3 that we have.
Yeah, and while we all 3 were doing the same things, we kind of all had different areas of expertise. Like Bree is just this genius when it comes to YouTube. She's been doing it for so long.
Mm.
She knows everything about how, like, the algorithm and how to work and the metadata. And so she's helped Amber and I with that, because we're like little babies. I'm like, here I am on YouTube. What do I do? Um, and then I knew a ridiculous amount about Instagram stuff, and Amber knows a lot about like brand deals, and she's just also really good at kind of like helping you. For me, especially for me, like I can be really timid, and Amber's, if you know her, not, she's very straightforward and like tell it like it is. And so she would help me feel more confident about like, just go for it, just ask for this thing, just do this thing. So while we were all in similar, like trying on similar platforms, we all brought our own little areas of knowledge to help build each other in those areas, which is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree in the parts of how each one of us has our different contributing factors. I think one of the things that helps, and if you're looking to create kind of a little pod just like this, a little pea pod, something similar, I think one of the things to look for is those complementary personalities and people who know their own strengths and weaknesses pretty well and can communicate that kind of thing, because you are able to kind of bring everybody together and learn a little bit from different people. I mean, here's the thing about content creation, right? You are a producer, you are a brand manager, you are a marketer, you are a social media person, you are a community manager, you are a talent, you're actress or actor, you have to worry about audio, you're also an audio engineer, you're also a video editor, you're also a podcast editor. It never ends, right? It never ends. I could continue on and on for days of all of the different skills that a successful content creator has to have. Nobody is good at all of them. Nobody. No one. It's too hard. Any extremely successful content creator that you just see is like killing it, posting a video a day, live streaming 6 days a week, 24 hours. They have a team. Okay? They have a team working for them. A lot of them have full-time employees that get to take on these other jobs. And so when you're just starting out like me, Amber, and Day are, you don't have that. You just have you, yourself, and you, and that's it. So it's hard. And being able to say, you know what? I'm not really good at Instagram. I'm not good at Twitter. I don't even own a TikTok. I can't. They were like, everyone was like, Briana, get on TikTok. Everybody's on TikTok. I'm like, I just can't take on one more thing. I can't do one more thing.
Yep, I have a TikTok, but I feel very similar. Like I have these moments where I'm like, wow, I could really be good at this, but I just don't have the brain power or the brain space to try. So I'm like, ah.
Right.
Like, just because you see people on every single platform everywhere you look doesn't mean every individual is on all of those platforms. Like, you might
Exactly.
see me on Instagram all the time, but someone else on TikTok all the time, and someone else on YouTube all the time. But like, I'm not on YouTube or TikTok all the time. I'm just on Instagram all the time. So like, give yourself a break. Give yourself a breath. Take 5 breaths. Like, give yourself a hug. Like, you don't have to be everywhere.
Exactly. And I think that us being able to meet once a month and come together and say, listen, I don't know anything about TikTok, but what can you tell me? And they go, here are my experiences with it. Make your own decision. That is so helpful because it immediately relieves a lot of the pressure to learn everything yourself. You know, if anybody has a question about SEO on YouTube, they know they can come to me. No problem. Like, I'm about it. I can help you. So
Yep.
those types of things are incredibly beneficial, and why I love having that little support group. And even though we have our work cohort and our little pod, the three of us, I also feel really comfortable reaching out to a lot of the other creators that I've collabed with and asking them, hey, I've never worked with this brand before. Have you? And they're either like yes or no, and they recommend them or not. And so being able to have that relationship with other creators is just absolutely invaluable.
Yeah. And I'd say another huge thing about our meetings is the way we structure them, which is
Mm.
we always start with everyone's wins. Like we go around and we force each other to celebrate the things we've accomplished the previous month because we all know how hard that is. It shouldn't be, but it is. Why don't we ever give ourselves credit for the things we've done? I don't know, but these ladies help me do that, and then it becomes a muscle that I'm stronger at, and every month I'm like more excited to be like, well, these things happen. And sometimes it's like, I posted a video this last month on YouTube, I edited it and got it up, and for me that's a win because that's a struggle. And they're happy for me, they're like, that's amazing. And then we move to like what we want to work on and our goals, and we check in with our old goals. Like, did you accomplish these things from last month?
We
And
take
if
very
not,
detailed notes because we just
yeah.
happen to be detailed note takers. But it helps us. It helps us look back and say, hey, did we do the things that we said that we should do last month? And if not, why not? Let's hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
We have developed a way of doing it that is not confrontational, that is not
Or
harmful,
judgmental.
not
Like,
judgmental at all. We do
if
it
you didn't
in
do
a
it,
supportive light. We do it in a light of love and friendship. And we do it in a light knowing that the circle's going to come back around. And if we didn't do the things that we were supposed to do, we're going to want the same patience.
yeah, it's incredibly non-judgmental. It's like, if you didn't do it, like Brianna said, it's like, why didn't that happen? And then it's like, well, is it something you need to do? Maybe you don't need to do it. And
Yeah.
we're we're gentle with each other, but also very hold each other accountable at the same time. Like, we're firm yet gentle, like a good mattress. All right, that wasn't my best, but
Listen, if it fits, it ships for a low flat rate. I'll take it.
perfect, perfect. But yeah, I think it's really important to uh for all of our psyches that we like lift each other up. It forces us to think about what we're doing, and I've honestly never felt in my oh god, like almost my entire life I've been a creative in the terms of like acting and doing this and that, and I've never had so few breakdowns over what am I doing with my life than since I started this group. And there's this constant reflection, and like no, nothing is like stuck anywhere. It's like, well, maybe
Mm.
do it this way and do it that way, and there's movement, and I have this support system for when I do feel like I'm getting a little overwhelmed. I go straight to them, and I haven't really had many like what am I doing with my life? Nothing I do ever does any good. Like, it's so nice.
And I think one of the reasons why I like the word that you used, reflection, there, because
Mhm.
honestly it ends up feeling less, when we use the word accountability, oftentimes it brings up connotations or ideas of like parents or homework
Mm.
or schools or whatever. And I like the idea of reflection a lot more. So I just want to touch on that again. When we hold each other accountable by taking notes and saying, you know, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? We try to make our goals, for the most part, either SMART goals, and SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound, which means basically that they are task based and that we can definitely get them done. We also have kind of loftier qualitative goals, like, you know, it would be nice if we hit this number, or it would be nice if I just felt good about my content going forward. So we try to have goals on both sides of the spectrum, but it's specifically for accountability of task-based goals. Like, I was supposed to read and sign and return that contract and I didn't do it. We go, why? And then we reflect on it. We go, oh, actually, it's because it's not a priority. Or actually, I just needed someone to remind me that I needed to get it done, which happens to me quite a bit. Or maybe, we just get the opportunity to talk through some of our resistances. And one of the things that I really love about Brené Brown and the work that she does, she mentions in her book that shame cannot live through the light of being talked about. And I think that reflects on a lot of things. If you can shine a light on the little things that you've been keeping in the back of your head, they can't exist back there anymore. And so oftentimes, if there's a little bit of resistance for you as a content creator, if you feel like you just are burnt out from the grind, or if you feel like you're just not that creative, or if there is a plateau that you just can't get over, or you really want to push forward towards this next step, but you don't know how or why or when or where, just talking about it with a friend oftentimes opens up the bottle. And we've had sessions where we have to say, none of this leaves this group. Like what happens between us three, what we talk about is like just for us, because sometimes it ends up feeling like a little vent sesh with your friends, but it's about work stuff. It's about content creation. It's about that specific area in your life. And it's really, really nice.
Yeah. And it's important to be in a group that you trust, because a lot of times the resistances that seem very surface, they have a deeper kind of emotional thing. And like, just piggybacking off of that, like, sometimes it's this thing of like, well, I didn't do this, why? And then you sit there and you're like, oh, it's because they have this deep emotional resistance from this thing that's plagued me my whole life. And oh my God. And you like have these kind of little revelations with each other where you're just like, oh, I need to work on that. Okay.
Totally.
Just being with a group that you trust, and that just goes more towards like being compassionate and holding each other up, and like there's nothing I don't feel I can talk with these women about, because we've built this trust and I know they support me. If someday I feel abandoned by everyone in the world, I won't feel abandoned by them, because we've built this solid foundation with each other, and that can be so important. So our brains can lie to us sometimes and tell us terrible things. So it's nice to have these facts of like, well, if I told Brie I was thinking this way about myself, she would be so mad at me and tell me so many nice things. So I should just stop.
It's true. And I think it's really good to think about, just how would your best friend talk to you? You need to be talking to yourself that way. But we all know it's hard. It's a skill to practice. Nobody has it just innately down. So being able to talk to a supportive group of your peers is so important. If you haven't found that group of peers that supports you no matter what, keep looking. There are people out there who are willing to give, who are willing to share, who are willing to not keep score in the same way that you are.
Yeah. And that's really important. I just had a little light bulb with that, in the fact that like you have to be that person to find those people.
Yes.
And I've kind of realized I've been that person my whole life. I've also been burnt a lot by friends.
Yes.
But now in this part of my life, it has paid off it tenfold. Like the amount of friends, the types of friends I've made in the last few years have been gold. I wouldn't give them up for anything. They are the same as me. They're so compassionate, and they are open, and they are truthful and transparent, and so I guess I just want to say, like, it gets better if you're that person who's been burnt by friendship by being open. Like, it's scary and it's hard to keep doing that, but it will bring the right people into your life.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
And I think that, all of us are at a time in our lives when we've mostly worked through the garbage of being a teenager. I mean,
Mostly.
for the most part, like being a teenager is really hard, and you learn a lot of coping mechanisms to get through your hormones that do not serve you for the rest of your life. And we've put in the work to unlearn all of that some of that stuff, right? We've done our best, right?
We're aware of it. The first step is awareness,
Aware of it.
and then you can work on it. We know it's all there. We know what's there so that someone can be like, hey, it looks like you're doing this. And you're like, right. Still working on
Correct.
that.
So I would say that especially it's really hard when you're very first starting out. And I definitely fell victim to this, where I would reach out to a content creator and I would say, hey, do you want to do a collab? And they'd say no for whatever reason. Maybe our numbers weren't the same. Maybe they just don't like doing collabs for whatever reason. Maybe they didn't like the color that I chose for my brand. Who knows? Who cares? You cannot read other people's minds. So you can't force anybody to be your collab buddy, to be your support system. You really can't. And you're going to hear no a lot very early on, but just keep trying. You will eventually fine tune that area. I feel like, Day, you kind of hit the nail on the head when it does help as you get older, as the people around you get older too. But again, work on you, yourself, and you. In the meantime, work on removing jealousy from your life, removing toxicity from your life, being as positive of a person as you can in your life. And then when you share that with other people, it will come back to you 8,000 fold.
Yeah, because you're gonna like put off the people that don't like that, and you don't want them around anyway. And you'll attract the people that are like that. So that's what I found to be true in my life anyway. And so I will continue saying that until it's proven otherwise, but I don't think it will be.
Plus, the internet is a vast place, and content creation is more and more common. It used to be a very small select group of people that could post a video on YouTube, or even could successfully post a video on YouTube. But now, I mean, come on. You really think you can't find a group of peers that are kind and supportive, that kind of do what you do and are like you? In the millions of people doing this, you'll find them. You will.
I always tell people who are starting out, well, I have two things to say about it, is that I feel very lucky that I grew my Twitch community off the cornerstone of the Life is Strange community, which also just happens to be very compassionate, loving, kind, just due to the nature of that game and, the emotions it brought out in people. So I got to like use them to start with. But also you're kind of like, I hate when people use sports analogies, but this is I'm like, you're like the quarterback, like you set the tone for everything. So when people are like, how do I get a positive community like yours, I'm like, I mean, you just be that way and they'll follow your lead and kick out anyone who can't play nice. You get to curate it. It's your community. Like, you're in charge. Just don't stand for it, I feel like, but I also don't have to deal with trolls that much. So might be a naive stance, but that's how I feel.
No, I totally agree. I think that there is definitely something to say about how hard it is to deal with trolls or to deal with toxic people. And listen, that's hard on the internet, and it's hard in real life. Oftentimes the people we love most are the most toxic to us, that is developed from a close relationship. And a lot of people still haven't worked through their codependent tendencies. I still definitely have trouble with that kind of thing, of like being needed and needing a person that is like really not good for me. She's been there. Swear by it. So I think it all comes back to what we keep saying is you have to work on yourself. You absolutely have to. If you could just envision the perfect friend or the perfect peer, just envision them. And like every single choice, every single day that you go through being a content creator, just try to be the best friend to that future person. Just try to become the best person you can be for that future person. It kind of, being able to visualize it in that way takes you out of the like day-to-day slog and gives you something to work towards. You want to make sure that you are your best, freest, most positive, happiest self for your community, for your future best friend. And truthfully, all of that is actually secretly, don't tell yourself or anyone else, it's actually for future you. And that's a lot harder for people. So that's like step 3. So first, like envision like your best friend, your future best friend, your perfect best friend. Do it for them. Then your like perfect best friend community. Do it for them. And then your future best friend, you. Do it for her.
I love that.
Or him or them. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
And guess what? That pays off even if you stop content creating. Even if you stop live streaming, if you never make another YouTube video or post on Instagram or cosplay ever again, you're a better person. So congratulations.
Yay! Do you think we should answer some questions that I gleaned from the social medias?
I think that we should.
All right. I asked a few weeks ago on Twitter and Instagram just what questions people have about creating positive communities, etc., so that we could answer them if we missed anything. So we got several questions from people that are basically asking um, how to grow your audience. How do you go from affiliate to partner? How do you get your average view rate up? Um, it's a struggle. Like we all struggle with it. As we said earlier in this, algorithms, and Twitch doesn't even really have one, or a good one at that.
Not for recommended, not really.
Yeah. So it's different stuff works for different people, but something that's big is making sure you're promoting on platforms other than Twitch that do have better algorithm systems in place, like Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. I mean, that's how you started on YouTube.
I started on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also started with a huge collab. So that cannot be overstated. I got 1,000 subscribers in my first month because I collabed on the Real Rejects channel with my friend Greg. So that was hugely helpful. Did I have that little bit of boost, that little bit of privilege, that little extra leg up early on? Totally. Did I have to do the rest myself? Yes.
Same. I started streaming with Life is Strange, and so my first stream had like 500 people in it. That's not normal. Like that's not. I also had a boost and some privilege there with that. But since then, because there was a definite I like stopped streaming for like 2 months and didn't really have goals in place and any of this stuff. So I kind of stopped streaming for 2 months and then had to rebuild from all of that. I personally pretty much only use Twitter for stream related things. I never really used it before I started streaming, so it's kind of become my little dedicated hub. Other people do other things. I mean, Bree, you post on Instagram like once a month, so like you don't have to do it all.
Listen,
Not shade. I think it's great.
I have posted on my Instagram this many times this year, because COVID has depressed me.
You
can't do it all.
I'm impressed.
Thank you. No one can do it all. Instagram has not been my place lately, but I'm pretty good about posting on stories, and I'm pretty good about sending out a go live tweet. But most of my Twitter and Instagram followers came from Final Fantasy. So that is a version of cross promotion in something else. So if you have any other talents, if you're an artist, you can use DeviantArt. If you are a writer, you can use WordPress. Use whatever skills that you currently have at your disposal to generate some energy and excitement in other ways. And then let people know, hey, if you like my writing, I also stream for fun, and it's a way to get a different facet of my personality, or anything like that. So anything that you can do to get seen from different demographics and different types of viewers and different audiences, you obviously have to serve them content that you like. And maybe that's what we should have started with. Make sure your content is improving all the time. Make sure your content is good. Make sure you're serving a niche, serving something that people want, something desirable. And then just, struggle through for the next 5 years, like we all have. Because whether content is enjoyable is completely subjective and arbitrary. But you just do your best and keep improving every day, and then use excitement in other platforms. YouTube is good because of the recommended. You're being recommended at least 100 videos a day on YouTube. Twitter, you're being recommended at least 100 tweets a day on feed. Instagram, it's not as good. I don't know how TikTok works, but I assume TikTok's great for recommended.
Yeah. I mean, I
Sure.
think for TikTok you have to be specific, and then it'll show a specific niche that you like. I posted a cosplay, it'll show a small cosplay niche, and then if they like it, it'll broaden, and if they like it, it'll broaden. So again, it's like hit or miss, but subjective, etc., etc. But like we said though, like you don't have to be everywhere. Pick a few places that make you
Are best for
happy,
you. Yeah.
that you enjoy posting on. Like Bree's not gonna do TikTok. She's not gonna force herself to do
It's not
TikTok.
going to
She
happen.
knows she's not gonna like it. That's fine. That's fine.
Thank you. Thank you for that reassurance.
You're welcome.
See? Support 24/7.
Support. It's true.
All day, every day.
Also, though, like you
That's your
could
name. That's
probably
why I
go
said that.
oh,
You're
all day,
welcome.
every day.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say you could probably go viral on TikTok in like 10 days by purely reacting to people cosplaying and drawing Aerith. But it
Listen, there could be a million views out there for me if I was a vlogger or if I was a travel aficionado or if I had an OnlyFans, but like that's not me, Like that's not me. You also have to do something that feeds your soul, and that's
That's the
it's a
tricky balance.
challenge. Yeah,
That's
it's a
the tricky
balance.
balance of like which other platforms am I going to enjoy that will also help me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm still struggling. I know putting on YouTube will help, but I struggle to edit videos, so
And
neither here
also
nor there.
collabs. Collabs are a great way to share audiences as long as you reach out to people who have kind of a similar demographic as you, similar number range as you, or similar professionalism as you, or you happen to know them either IRL or you can have a mutual friend introduce you. Any of those number of different ways are a good way to reach out for someone who might be a good collab candidate for you. But again, be aware that it is hard. A lot of people have social anxiety. You're going to get 5 non-responses and 2 no's before you get a yes. Sometimes it's like that. That's why it's so much better to, when you reach out. This really should have been in the bulk of our thing, but this is really important. When you reach out to somebody with a collab idea, be the person to come up with the idea yourself. If you are reaching out, you come up with the idea. That way, because they are the ones who have to say yes or no, and they probably have social anxiety and they are probably nervous or have a million other things to do, like we all do, right? So put yourself in their shoes. Make it easy for them. You want to collab with them? Really? Come up with the idea yourself. What exact collab is going to benefit them based on their content? Have you researched their content? Have you watched their latest stuff? Do you know what they're working towards? You got to do the work. You really do.
Yeah. And it makes a difference. It really does.
Yeah, that's how I got Day on my channel. How many guests have I had at this point? I mean, special guests is kind of a cornerstone of my content experience. I've had Erica Lindbeck, the voice of Jessie in Remake. I've had John Eric Bentley, the voice of Barrett in Remake. I have had Dayeanne, the voice of Kate Marsh in Life is Strange. I have had Katie Benz, the voice of Steph in Life is Strange Before the Storm. I've had RKVC, musicians. I've had so many special guests on my channels because every time I reach out, I'm professional, I am quick, and I tell them why it would benefit them. I make it easy on them.
All right, so here's the question we have. What do you do to better understand the gap of content, experience, time, effort, and opportunity that exists between starting and maintaining a successful channel?
You do it.
You do the
You
thing.
just do it.
You gotta learn. There's something I hold true to myself from one of my mentors, which is launch at 85%. You're never gonna feel ready, and we talk with Amber about this too. Like you're not gonna be like 100% ready before you start. You gotta just hit record or start streaming, or and then you learn. And that's what I love about Twitch versus YouTube with the editing is Twitch is just live, you go and it's done. And then you can be like, "Oh, that went well," or "That didn't work. Let me try it different next time." And then, in 30 days the video is gone forever unless you saved it. So there's this constant opportunity to reinvent yourself when things aren't working. Like I said, I'm in the middle of a slight rebrand. My fiance rebranded 3 times before he hit on something that really worked for him. I feel like Twitch is so forgiving in that way, like
Mm.
so incredibly forgiving.
And see, I'm the kind of person that started on YouTube because I like to be completely polished and perfect at every given moment. And I like to edit out all of my mistakes so that they never exist anywhere at all. No one has to see them. And that is something that I've worked through with Amber and Day. They have reminded me again and again and again that done is better than perfect. And you are going to fail at it again and again and again and again and again and again and again until you get a little bit better each day. And the only way to do that is via experience, is failing and not being afraid to fail, but not giving up. That is how you want the golden rule of how to succeed as a content creator. Commit to failing at it for years, but keep doing it. Even if it makes you nervous, keep persevering. If it's something you want to do, if it's something that feeds you and makes you happy, then never give up and you will eventually succeed. That is the golden rule.
Yeah. That really goes into the last question I wanted to address,
Let's
which
hit
was,
it.
how do you motivate yourself to go live when you're not having a good day or you're overthinking it?
Day, you know that's my big weakness is motivation.
Yeah.
That's hard for
Yeah.
me. There have been some days where I'm just depressed and I just can't. And in my head, I'm like, I can't. And that's the narrative that just keeps repeating, I can't, I can't, I can't. You've heard me talk about it as the nopes. I've talked
The
about it for
nopes.
years with you.
Yeah. The nopes. I don't want to do it. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, I'm just very transparent. There are some days where I hit you probably feel similarly. As actresses, I feel like we rarely like nervous to hit go live in the general sense, just because we're used to talking and being in front of people. But there are definitely days where I just don't have the normal amount of energy I usually do, or I've been frustrating things have happened, and I'm just honest. I'm just like, hey guys, what's up? I hope you're doing well. I don't have very much energy today, so I'm gonna be a little less than normal. And they're like, okay, great. I hope you feel better soon. That's fine. We're still here to hang out. Like, just be honest. I really wanted to stream because you guys make me feel better, but I'm honestly having kind of a bad day. That works for me. Like that's my advice.
So because it's my personal demon, my answer was never that simple. It was never as simple as do it imperfectly. That was one thing for sure. That's one thing that's been helpful, but it was not the only recipe ingredient. Yeah. There is also a measure of, do you really want this? If you're not motivated to do it, is it because it's not something that you want? So you need to answer that for yourself. If the answer is yes, and you still for some reason can't, which I've been there for years, I get that. One of the things that you can do is exercise, boost your endorphins, right? Just gets you really pumped and going. Anything that you can do to like put yourself in the right mindset beforehand is going to be huge. The other thing for me is setting outside structure. Oh my goodness. Setting outside structure is one of the most important things that you can do if you lack internal motivation. And this is where the group comes in, right? The group represents external motivation. It is a fount of telling you, do this and do this when. And if you don't do it, you're going to have to tell us why. And that creates an outside structure. You're going to say this, and maybe this doesn't happen for the first year or a couple years, but eventually you're going to say, oh, I have a meeting this Saturday. I have to do something so that I can tell them I did something. And guess what? Suddenly you're motivated to do it. You can't just keep telling yourself you should be internally motivated. Guess what? That's a myth. That doesn't exist for some people. Some people are not internally motivated. I haven't been for the longest time. I'm motivated by people. I'm motivated by working with others. I'm motivated by someone sending me an email saying, hey, I have this really cool game I want you to check out. I'm motivated by Dayeanne saying, hey, can we do a podcast together? I'm motivated by people being excited about working with me. That's why collabs are the heart and soul of my content, because it is so important for me to want to turn on my stream and my community is waiting for me. They want to have a good day by watching my stream. I am motivated by that, even if I am not motivated internally. So seek outside structure everywhere you can. Tell your deadlines that you've set for your content, that you've set for your go lives to your brother, sister, mother, friend, uncle, dog. Write it on a piece of paper, send it out into the universe. It does not matter. Outside structure.
Beautiful. I think that's the perfect way to end this wonderful panel. Thank you, Good Timezone Con, for having us.
Yes.
It was really
Did
amazing
everyone
to get to talk
enjoy
about
our
this.
panel?
Yay! You all loved it. That was so great.
Thank you. That makes me so happy to hear. Wow, we nailed it, Day. Good job, us.
Love it. Thank you for having us. It was a joy to get to discuss this and share like what has been our like secret sauce
Agree.
and make it less secret, and hopefully some people took some important things away, and you're going to start growing your channel and your friends and your community, and I can't wait to see it.
Agree. Please send me your success stories. Tweet them at me. I am at The Strange Rebel. That is where you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch. But you can find me on YouTube at Strange Rebel Gaming. Again, I'm Briana White. Dayeanne, tell us where people can find you and tweet their success stories at you.
Yes, please tweet your success stories to Dayeanne Hutton on Twitter, and I'm also on YouTube as that, and then I'm Dabraham_Lincoln on Twitch and Instagram, and I have a gaming podcast called Gaming and Gabbing, which you can find anywhere you find podcasts. So yeah.
And it's very entertaining.
So good.
It's
I'm
really
not
good.
Okay,
With
the lovely Amber Plaster,
yes,
who could not be with us today.
She's here in spirit.
It's true.
All right, thanks for having us. Good Timezone Con. Have a good time where you are in the world.